Today we are going to start with the topic consumer arithmetic. So first of all, we should know what is consumer arithmetic, also known as consumer math. It's also called as consumer math. Is the practical application of basic math skills to real-world situations such as shopping, banking, managing personal finance. So it is mainly used in shopping, banking, and managing personal finance. So this was a brief introduction of the topic. Here we should know what we study in this chapter. First of all, we have to study about percentages, very basic about percentages, then discount, then profit, then loss, and then sales tax. So these are the basics of consumer arithmetic, right? Although there are many other things, we will discuss them, but these are very basic things we should understand about this, right? So first of all, we should know about percentages. How to change a percentage into a fraction to a percentage to a decimal, and a decimal to a percentage. So we should know these things because these are very basic things, right? I will just give you an example of each of them. Percentage to fraction. For example, if you have 60%, right? 60%, this is a percentage, and if you have to convert it into a fraction, what will you do? Here you can see percentage. Percentage means out of 100. 60% means 60 out of 100, right? So if you simplify it, divide both of them by 2, it will be 30 over 50. And again, if you divide both of them by 2, it will be 15 over 25. And then if you divide them by 5, you will get 3 over 5. So 3 over 5 is a simplified fraction of 60%. That's the way to convert a percentage into a fraction. And the second is fraction to percentage. If you have given any fraction, like for example, if you have given 2 over 3, a very simple fraction, and if you have to convert it into percentage, what should you do? You have to times it by 100, right? Simply times it by 100, you will get 2 times 100 is 200 divided by 3, and we know 200 divided by 3 is 66.67, right? So 2 over 3 is a fraction. If you convert it into percentage, it will be 66.67. So what you need to remember, if you have a fraction and if you have to convert it into percentage, you will simply times it by 100, right? Then what should we know? How to change a percentage into a decimal. So it's also very simple. For example, if you have given 75%, right? And if you had to convert it into a decimal, you can first convert it into a fraction. And we know 75 divided by 100 is 0.75. So in that way, you can convert a percentage into a decimal. And what's the fourth one? Changing a decimal to a percentage. If you have a decimal and like 0.25, you know, it's a decimal, and if you had to convert it into a percentage, what you can do, you can simply times it by 100, right? So 0.25 times 100 is 25. So that will be 25%. So these were the basics of converting fractions to percentage, or percentage to decimal, etc. Then we have to see, that was our first topic, percentage. There are many things about percentage you should know them because they are very basic things. Then what is discount? What do you mean by a discount? You know, the marked price of an article that is offered for sale is the amount written on the price tag. If you buy anything, you will see a tag price on that thing, right? The price on which the shopkeeper is selling the price. So that is the tag price. Shopkeepers sometimes allow the customer to have the article for less than the marked price. For example, if the marked price is $20, the shopkeeper may sell the article for $18. The $2 that has been deducted from the marked price is called a discount. So that if the shopkeeper sells that article to you for $18, it means he has given $2 discount to you. That is called a discount. You already know that. Discounts are often expressed as percentage and then always as a percentage of the marked price. So how will you find discount? Here you can see discount is actually marked price minus selling price. For example, the marked price is $20 and the selling price is $18. Then if you subtract 18 from 20, you will get 2. here this 2 is the discount, right? And it is always represented in percentage. So if you have to find the percentage discount, like how much percent discount has been given by the shopkeeper, so you will use this formula: discount over mark price times 100. Here in this case, the discount is $2 and the mark price is 20. So you will do 2 over 20 times 100, it will be 10. So it means in this case, the shopkeeper has given you a 10% discount on the object, right? For example, here we can see how to find the discount. A jeweler discount a necklace marked as $900 by 25%. How much is the discount? So here you can see the discount is 25% and the mark price is $900. So how much is the discount? Here you have to find the discount, right? If we represent the discount by D, then you can see 25%, percent means out of 100, times 900, right? So if we cancel these two, 25 times 9 is what? If you use a calculator, you can use a calculator to multiply 25 by 9, you will get 225, right? So $225 is the discount price. So how much is the discount? The discount is $225. What will a customer pay for the necklace? So here you have to find the selling price, right? We already know selling price is mark price minus discount, right? So the mark price is 900 and the discount is 225. So you have to subtract 225 minus 900, so it will be $675. So 675 is the selling price. The customer should pay $675 for this necklace, right? Then what is profit? If an article is sold for more than it costs, then it is said to have been sold at a profit. So it's a very simple thing, right? If the selling price is more than the cost price, then it is called profit. Profit equals to selling price minus cost price. And profit is also represented in percentage. Profit percentage. How to find profit percentage? You have to divide profit by cost price, then times it by 100. So for example, here we can see an example. A house was bought for $150,000 and it's sold for $180,000. So here we can see what's the cost price. The cost price is $150,000 and the selling price, the sold price is $180,000, right? So what is the profit percentage? You have to find the profit percentage. So before finding the profit percentage, we should know what was the profit amount. So you know the profit amount is selling price minus cost price. So what's the selling price? That is 180,000. And what's the cost price? That is 150,000. Right? So if we take away or subtract these two numbers, what will you get? You can use a calculator. It will be 30,000. Right? So $30,000 is the profit amount. Then they ask us to find the percentage profit. So you have to use this identity, right? To find the profit percentage, you have to divide profit by the cost price. Always remember, you have to use the cost price here. Here the cost price is 150,000, right? So if we have to find the profit percentage, we will divide the profit, that is 30,000, divide by 150,000. There's the cost price times 100, right? So if we cancel the zeros, 4 zeros come here. So 4 zeros come here and 4 zeros come here, right? So it will be 300 divided by 15. So 300 divided by 15, if you use a calculator, it will be 20%. So the profit percentage is 20%, right? Then we will see in the same way what is loss. If an article is sold for less than it costs, then it is said to have been sold at a loss. So for example, if you buy anything for $100, right, and sell it to any other person for $80. So what happens here? here your selling price is less than the cost price, or your cost price is more than the selling price, it means you have sold the article at a loss, not at profit, right? So how to find loss? Cost price minus selling price. For example, here this was the cost price and this was the selling price. If we subtract these two numbers, we will get $20. So $20 is the loss. Loss equals to cost price minus selling price. Loss is often expressed as a percentage of the cost. This is called the percentage loss. Then as that of the profit, we can find the percentage loss. So we will divide the loss amount by the cost price, then we will times it by 100. You will get the percentage loss. For example, here we can see an example. A car was purchased for $20,000 and it is sold for $16,000. So what's the percentage loss? First of all, we will find what's the loss amount, right? So to find the loss amount, we always subtract the selling price from the cost price. Here you can see cost price minus selling price, right? Cost price minus selling price. So what's the cost price here? It's $20,000, right? $20,000. And what's the selling price? That is $16,000. So how much was the loss? That will be simply $4,000, right? So the loss amount is $4,000 here. But we still have to find the percentage loss. So to find the percentage loss, we have to use this identity, loss over cost price. So to find the percentage loss, we will use loss amount, that is 4,000. And what's the cost price? That is 20,000 times 100. Right, so here 4 zeros and 4 zeros cancel out. It will be 40 divided by 2. That is again 20%. So here loss is 20%, right? Then what is sales tax? So sales tax, a tax amount charged by the government to raise money. So it can provide public services. It is based on certain things. So this sales amount is the sales tax is the amount imposed by the government on all the things which is sold in that country. So example, here you can understand it by an example. Your state charges 8% sales tax. You want to buy a t-shirt advertised for $20. So $20 is the amount of the price of the t-shirt, excluding the tax. So your government impose 8% sales tax. So we have to see how much tax you should pay to government. 8% of 20, right? So it will be 8 over 100 times 20. So it will be 160 divided by 100. That will be 1.6, right? 1.6. So the sales tax will be $1.6. So you with the price of the t-shirt, you should include $1.6 as a tax. You should pay that also. So in total, you should pay $21.6. In some countries, the tax is already included in the price, so the t-shirt will be advertised as costing. So if the tax is already included, the price of the shirt will be tagged as $21.6. That happens in some countries, right? Then here you have to understand and try to find problems related to these topics, because these are included in this topic, but we don't have time to discuss many problems here. So you should try these things by yourself. Like you should find problems involving market price, selling price, cost price, profit, loss, or discount. Already we discussed a few examples above, and we will try to do 1 or 2 examples below. But you should try by yourself, finding problems related to this topic and solving them. Also solve problems involving payments by installment, as in the case of hire purchase and mortgage. So these topics you should find problems and solve by yourself. Here you can see an example. If a pen costs $50 after 10% discount, then what is the actual price or marked price of the pen? Here you should know a pen costs $, and here it's given in rupees. So 50, you may consider it as $50, right? After 10% discount, then what is the actual price or marked price of the pen? So here you will, first of all, you should know that marked price minus discount equals to selling price, right? So where mark price is represented by MP and selling price is represented by SP here. So what's the discount here? Here I will write mark price minus discount equals to selling price, right? So what is discount here? We know discount is actually percentage. Discount percentage, our here what's the discount percentage? It is 10%, so it will be 10 over 100 times the mark price, right? So 10 divided by 100 is 0.1, 10 divided by 100 is 0.1, so it will be 1 like MP mark price minus 0.1 times mark price equals to selling price, right? So if you solve it, 1 minus 0.1 will be 0.99 mark price will be equal to selling price, right? Here we know what's the selling price. The selling price is $50, right? So what will be the mark price? The mark price will be, selling price is $50, 50 over 0.99. So if we use a calculator and divide 50 by 0.99, right? Oh, it's not 0.99 actually, it's 0.90, right? So 50 divided by 0.90, it will be $55.55. So the mark price will be $55.55 here, right? And similarly here we have two more questions. A table is sold Rs 5060, right? You may consider it as $5,060, right? So with 10% profit, what would be the gain or loss percentage if it has been sold at $4,370, right? Okay. So what should you do here? You have to see what's the, I will mention the data here, right? What's the selling price? The selling price is $5,060, right? And what's the profit percentage? The profit percentage is 10%. What will be the gain or loss percentage if it has been sold at $4,370? So here what should we do? First of all, we should know what is the selling price. We know selling price is equal to cost price plus profit, right? So what should we do here? What's the selling price given to us? A table is sold as 5,060 with 10% profit. So what is the profit here? The profit is 10% of the cost price, right? So here it will be cost price will be equal to 0.1 of cost price. So it will be 1.1 of cost price equals to the selling price. So the selling price is given to us, that is 5,060. And if we divide it by 1.1, it will give us the cost price. So if we use a calculator and divide 5,060 by 1.1, it will be $4,600. So the cost price will be $4,600, right? So you can see the difference between the cost price and the selling price. The selling price was $5,060 and the cost price is $4,600. So it means there 10% profit was included here, right? The cost price was $4,600. What would be the gain or loss percentage if it has been sold? So here I will write the cost price here. What's the cost price you got? That is $4,600, right? And what's the sold price here? The selling price is $4,370 here, right? So here you should see either it is gain or loss. So because the cost price is more than the selling price, it means here it's loss. And what's the loss amount? What is the loss amount? You have to subtract the selling price from the cost price, right? So I will simply subtract 4,370 from 4,600. So you will get $230. So here the loss amount is $230, right? But you have to find the percentage loss. Percentage loss will be equal to, we already know, loss divided by cost price. Loss is 230, the cost price is 4600 times 100. So here these two zeros cancel out. You have to divide 230 by 46. So it will be 5%. Percentage loss will be 5%, right? So that's the answer here. Then we have to see one more question here. What this question says. A dishonest, you have to understand this question. A dishonest dealer sells goods at 10% loss on the cost price, but uses 20% less weight. So here, although he is selling at a loss, like 10% loss, but because he is dishonest, so he uses 20% less weight. Compute the profit or loss percentage here. So in that way, either will he get profit or loss. So first of all, what we can see here. First of all, we will consider that the cost price, because you can see cost price is not given to us. So we will consider that the cost price of an article is $100. You have to understand it, right? So the dishonest dealer sells goods at 10% loss, right? So what will be the selling price if he just sells it at 10% loss? So the selling price will be 10% of 100 is what's that? 10% of 100 is just 10, right? So 100 minus 10 will be $90. So the selling price will be $90 if he sells the item at just 100% loss. But there is another factor. He uses 20% less weight, right? So how much unit is he selling? Because he used 20% less weight, because we will consider that there are 100 units, right? There are 100 units, but he is selling in 20% less weight, so there will be just 80 units, right? So what happens here, in other words, he is selling 80 units for $90, right? And what was the actual price? The price of 100 unit was $100, but he is selling 80 units for $90, right? So what will be the profit here? What will be the profit here? The profit will be a selling price minus cost price. Selling price minus cost price, right? So what's the selling price here? He is selling for $90, right? But what is the cost price here? You have to understand. The cost price is, because he is selling just 80 units, right? You can see we considered $100 for 100 units. So it means we are taking 1 unit equals to $1, right? So what will be the cost price of 80 units? The cost price of 80 units is just $80, right? So it means he is getting $10 as a profit, right? He is getting $10 as a profit, but we have to find the a profit or loss percentage. So what will be the profit percentage? It will be the profit amount, that is $10, over the cost price here, right? The cost price is just 80 times 100. So it will be 10 over, so 100 divided by 8. We know 100 divided by 8 is 12.5%. So the profit overall he is getting, the percentage profit is 12.5%, right? So in that way you have to understand these topics. So it's all for today. See you in the next lesson. Bye. Today we are going to discuss the second chapter. We will continue it because we discussed the basics of consumer arithmetic in the previous lecture. So we will continue it. Today we are going to discuss an important topic of consumer arithmetic, that is simple interest, and it's a very important topic in consumer arithmetic. So you have already heard about simple interest. Simple interest is a method to calculate the amount of interest charged on some at given rate and for a given period of time. So in simple interest, the principal amount is always the same, unlike compound interest. Here you should know the difference between simple interest and compound interest. Although our topic is just simple interest, in the next topic we will discuss the compound interest. So when we discuss the compound interest, you will understand the total difference. But here just one difference is mentioned. that the principal amount is always the same in a simple interest. Like after every period, the principal amount will remain same while calculating the simple interest, but in compound interest, the principal amount changes after every period. And so what you have to understand here, first of all, you should know how to calculate the simple interest. What are the factors on which simple interest depends? So basically there are three factors on which simple interest depends. There is P, T and R. What is P here? P is the principal amount, like the initial amount, and T is the time period, and R is the rate of interest. You can also write this equation like this: I equals to PRT. So what is P? P is the principal amount, R is the interest, and T is the time period. For example, if you take loan from a bank, like $100, so this is the amount you took as a loan from the bank. So it will be the principal amount, right? And what is R? R is the rate of interest. For example, if the rate of interest you have to pay is 5% annual per year, right? So 5% is the rate of interest you should pay after every year. And what is T? T is the time you have taken the loan. For example, if you have taken the loan for 4 years, right? So 4 years is the time. Here you have to pay 5% as an interest every year. So this is the formula of simple interest. Then in order to calculate the total amount, the following formula is used. So for example, if you had to turn back this amount to your bank after 4 years, you should know you have to pay more than 100, although you have taken just $100, but after 4 years you have to pay more than 100 because you have to pay the interest also, right? So how much amount you should pay after 4 years, it can be calculated by using this formula, this identity. Here A is the amount you have to pay after 4 years, and here P is the principal amount. Here you can see the principal amount is 100 times 1 plus R is the interest rate, that is 5%. 5%, so you have to divide it by 100, right? And T is the time period. So if you do it 100 and 20 over 100, that will be 0.2, right? So it will become 100 times 1.2, that is $120, right? So you should pay $120 as the total amount, including the interest. It means the principal amount was $100 and you had to pay $120. So $120 is actually the amount. $20 will be the interest here, right? Then we have to see. Here we already discussed that A is the amount you have to pay after the time period, payback. So this was very simple. Here T was in years, right? For example, we took T as 4 years. But in some problems, you will see that the time given to you is either in months or in days. So if the time is given to you in months, you have to convert it into years. So we know there are 1 year equals to 12 months, right? 1 year equals to 12 months. So what will you say? If you had to convert months into years, 1 month will be equal to 1 hour, 12 years, right? So you have to divide it by 12. Divide the time by 12, right? And if you had to convert the time into days, because there are 365 days in a year, you have to divide it by 365. And here one thing is important. The time, here you can see. Here it is divided by 100, but here I did not divide it by 100. So what does this shows? Time is, here it is divided by the rate, right? Rate is always the percentage. For example, if you have given the rate is 5%, so it means you have to divide it by 100 also here, right? So here R is always in percentage. If it is not in percentage, you have to convert it into percentage. Then what if the rate of interest is a percentage is used, then SI formula is PRT over 100. But if the rate of interest is used as a decimal, if we have already divided the rate by 100, then the SI means simple interest formula is just PRT. If the rate is given to you in decimal, you just have to use PRT, right? So we will see an example here. Robert purchased a car worth $48,000. So what is 48,000? I will write here. $48,000 is the principal amount. I represent it by P. He borrowed the money from the bank at 10% per annum. Per annum means like per year, right? So rate is 10%. For a period of 4 years. Here time is 4 years. How much amount he has to pay after the period? So here you can see they ask us to find the amount he has to pay after the period. We will represent it as A, right? So what's the formula we studied about for A? You can see A equals to P times 1 plus PRT, right? And also you can see the total amount A equals to principal plus interest. So principal plus interest, like if I write principal plus interest, just like A equals to principal. What was the principal? Principal amount, that is just P. And what was the interest? The formula for interest we studied above is PRT, right? If you factor out P from here, you will get 1 plus RT. So A is the amount that he should pay after 4 years. So it will be P times 1 plus RT. So I will write the formula here. A equals to P times 1 plus RT. Then what we had to plug in the values, like the principal is given to us is $48,000. Then 1 plus R. R is the interest, that is 10%. 10% means 10 over 100, right? And the time period is 4 years times 4. So it will be like 48,000. 1 plus, it will be 10 divided by 100 is 0.1 times 4. We will take the calculator and multiply 0.1 with 4, right? So it will be 0.4, right? So we will use 0.4 here. So 1 plus 0.4 is 1.4, right? So we will do 1.4 times 48,000. It will be 67,200, right? $67,200. So that is the amount he should pay after 4 years. So amount he has to pay after the period is 67,200, right? Then we will move to the next question. If Maria borrowed a sum of 46,500, so this is the amount she borrowed. So here the principal amount will be $46,500 for a period of 21 months. Here you can see the time period is given to us in months, 21 months, right? At 20% per annum, the rate is 20%. Then what we have to do? We have to find the simple interest that she will need to pay. We have just to find the simple interest here, right? So what should we do? First of all, we will use the formula to find the simple interest. We discussed that I equals to PRT. PRT. So what's the principal amount? That is 46,500, right? And what's the rate? The rate is given to us is 20%. So it will be 20 over 100 times. What's the time? Time is 21 months. So we know 21 months, if you convert it into year, it will be 21 over 12 years. So if the time is given to you in months, you have to convert it into years. So it will be 21 over 12, right? So if you simplify these things, you can do it like this. I will directly multiply all of them. 46, 500 times 20 times 21 equals to this value, and then you have to divide it by 1200 because 100 times 12 is 1200. So it will be $16,000, $16,275. So this is the simple interest she need to pay after 21 months if the principal amount is 46,000, right? Then we will see the next one. How much money was invested at 5% annual simple interest for 4 years to earn $3,500? So here what we have to find, how much money was invested. We have to find the principal amount here. Principal amount is unknown to us, but the rate is 5%, right? And time is 4 years. And what's 35,000? That is the amount A. A equals to 3,500, right? So it's very simple. We have to use the formula A equals to P times 1 plus RT. So what's the total amount here? That is 3,500. And we have to find P 1 plus, what is R here? R is 5%. 5% means 5 over 100. And what is T? T is 4 years, right? So it will be 3,500 equals to P and 1 plus, if you solve it, 4 times 5 is 20, 20 divided by 100 is 0.2, right? So it will become 3,500 equals to P times 1.2 if you divide both sides by 1.2. So 3,500 divided by 1.2. Let's see. 3,500 divided by 1.2 is 2,916.67. So the principal amount will be, I will write here, principal amount will be $2,916.67. That will be the principal amount, right? Then here there are two questions, and I will give you as a homework. They are same as we did above. The simple interest paid on a certain sum of money. This is the simple interest I, which is given to you. This 2.5 is the time T. This is the rate R. So what is the sum returned after 2.5 years? You have to find A. So you know the formula A equals to P times 1 plus RT, right? So you have to use this formula and plug in the known values. You can easily find A. Similarly, James wants to buy a bike and want a loan of $1,000. The bank gave him loan at a rate of 5% per annum. If James returned the amount after 2 years, how much extra money does he return to the bank? So again, here you have to find the extra money. Extra money means just the interest, right? You have to find the interest. The principal amount is this one. This is the rate R, and this is the time T. So you have just to use the formula I equals to PRT. So there's a homework for you. You can try that by yourself. Then we will try to solve a few questions when the time is given in months or in days. So we already discussed when time is given in months, then it should be divided by 12 to convert into years. And if it is given in days, you have to divide it by 365 to convert it into years. So here we can see a question. Glenn received 2,250 loan from the bank. After 6 months, he paid back 2,225 and closed the loan. Find the rate of interest. Here we have to find the rate of interest R, right? So what is given to us? Here he received this amount and pay back this amount. So what was the principal amount? The principal amount was $2,250. And what's the amount he paid back? The total amount he paid back, that was 2,295, right? So here you can see the amount he paid back is more than the principal amount. So in this amount, the interest is also included. So you can find the interest. So whenever you have to find the interest, you will subtract the principal from the total amount, right? So if you subtract the principal from the total amount he paid back, so 95, it will be 2295 minus 2250. We can use a calculator, and it's simple. $45, right? So $45 is the interest amount, that is I, right? So how will you find the rate? You have to find the rate R, right? So to find R, we will use the formula I equals to P R T. We already know the I, interest amount, that is 45. Was the principal amount, that was $2,250. We don't know the rate, so we will just write it as R. But the time is 6 months here. 6 months means 6 over 12 years, right? You can also write it 1.5 years. So if you have to simplify it, like you may simply write, instead of 6 over 12, you may simply write half years, right? So here you have to divide these two numbers. 2,250 divided by 2, that will be 1,125 times R, right? So what will be R here? R will be 45 divided by 1,125. So let's take the calculator. 45 divided by 1,125, that will be 0.04, right? So the interest is 0.04. R equals to 0.04, but this is not in percentage. This is just a decimal. So if you times it by 100, you will get the rate in percentage. That is 4%, right? So the interest rate will be 4%. They ask us to find the interest rate. Then we will see the next one. Kelly borrowed 3,480 rate of 8% per annum for 225 days. Find the interest and amount she paid. Here we have to find two things: the interest I and the amount A. Both of them we have to find here, right? So first of all, we will find I. Here this is the principal amount, this is the rate, and this is the time. But time is given to us in days. So I equals to PRT. What is P? That is 3,400. What is R? That is 8%. 225 over 365. So because we had to convert the days into years, we already discussed we have to divide it by 365, right? Then what should we do? We had to calculate the interest here. So I will just use the calculator here. 3,400 times 8 times 225 equals to this number, then divided by 36500. So it will be 167.67, right? If you round it, $167.67. That's the interest amount. Then you have to find the total amount she paid. So to find the total amount, we will use the formula A equals to P times 1 plus RT, right? Or you may simply use another way, like if you wanted to, because we discussed that the total amount is principal plus the interest amount, right? So what's the principal amount? That is 3,400 plus the interest is 167.67. So if we add these two by using a calculator, it will be $35,667. That will be the total amount she need to pay after 225 days, right? So again, we have studied the formula to find the interest. I equals to PRT, right? But sometimes you will give here I am giving you homework again. You have to find the principal. So you have to find the principal amount P when the time, interest, and rate are given. So you have to rearrange this formula. P will be equal to I hour RT, right? So you have to plug in these values here and solve it. Find the time when principal, interest, and rate are given. From the same identity, if you have to find T, it will be I hour PR, right? You have to use this identity to find the time. Similarly, when you have to find the rate, R will be equals to I hour PT, right? So you can rearrange this identity into different forms according to your need. You have to try these questions by yourself. So it's all about simple interest. See you in the next lecture and with compound interest. Bye.